All right, YouTubers, welcome back to Armor Firearms and Training. The next video I want to talk to you about is how to properly load and unload any semi-automatic handgun. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of different ways to do it, but this is probably one of the most straightforward, standard ways that we recommend for all shooters beginning to advanced. Anyway, we'll get right into it. Today we're using a Glock 21 short frame. I do have a TLR1 Streamlight mounted on the rail. This is a 45 caliber semi-automatic pistol. What I have here with me is what we call dummy rounds. These are inert rounds. They do have a brass casing. They do not have a primer, do not have a bullet. In fact, the orange part you see here is plastic, so they cannot fire and they cannot project or be propelled from the firearm. Anyway, so these we call training rounds or dummy rounds. So what we do is when we first pick up the pistol, obviously we want to, we're starting from the slide a lot back to the rear. Typically that happens when a gun runs empty, slide locks back to the rear, or you want to start from a point where the slide is locked back to the rear so it shows that there's no ammunition in the firearm whatsoever. So pick up that weapon with your strong hand. For me, I am a right-handed shooter. So finger up and away from the trigger, gun point in safe direction. We know that pistol is empty. You can see into the barrel there that there's no rounds in there, no magazine in. When we, with the right hand, when we get a finger up here off the slide here, just rotate that pistol over, palm up, to where you can see inside this area what we call the magazine well. You bring that up to your face, can it up there. Grab that magazine. We want to index it to where the floor plate of the magazine is in the palm. Thumb on the left side, left index finger aligned to the front side of the magazine with the bullets facing away from you. That's the proper way to grip the magazine, because you don't want to grip it with just your fingertips or just grab it like this, because in a stressful situation, you could drop that magazine. If you're doing a reload, that's a bad thing. If somebody's trying to kill you, you don't want to drop anything at the range either. So base plate, foreplate goes to the inside palm of your hand, thumb on the left side, right index finger on the back, bullets facing away. Bring that pistol up to your eye level and insert that magazine and follow the palm, follow the magazine all the way until you hear that click. You don't want to do something where you kind of just stick it in there and then bring your hand back and then jam it. Because typically what happens is with a magazine that's fully loaded, it's heavy. If you do this while you're standing up and the gun's tilted down a little bit, you put that magazine in, as soon as you do that, it falls back out. So you want to just guide that magazine all the way into the magazine well, palm it until you hear it click, give it a little double tap to make sure it's properly seated. At this point, I'm going to rotate that pistol over, and I'm going to grip it with the palm here, 4 fingers on the serrations that you see here on the sides of the rear of the slide. Palm's going to hit that side against it like that, 4 fingers together. Should be able to hold it like a vice grip pretty much, if you can see that. And as you squeeze that between in between your hand, you're going to pull back on that slide with the left hand just until it stops. Man, that could be like a 1/16 of an inch or something like that, but as soon as it stops, now I'm just going to open my left hand and let it go. And let that spring that's inside that slide do all the work, and let it slam that barrel forward, or that slide forward, I'm sorry. You definitely don't want to, what we call, which is a common thing that inexperienced shooters do, is what they're trying to be delicate with the gun, and it's understandable, but they insert the magazine, they'll reach over top, grab that slide, and then they want the hand to go forward and help it go forward and sit the slide forward. Well, that's incorrect. You don't want to do that, because sometimes if that slide doesn't go all the way forward, as you see here at the tip, it's very short. It could go further if it needed to, but sometimes if you ride the slide forward, that slide doesn't go completely all the way to the end like it should, and that gun will remain out of battery. It's the term we use. That gun is not in its state where it can fire. So you want to make sure when you pull back on that slide, I'll do it again for you. Insert that magazine, pull back on that slide, and just let it go. There's a spring that's in here that you're compressing when you pull that slide back to the rear. Basically what we're doing is we're pulling that slide back to the rear, letting that spring compress, and you're letting that slide go forward on its own, let it slam forward. The more abrupt and more rough that you are with working that slide and letting it go, letting that spring do all the work, that slide's gonna sit forward and it's gonna get into the position of battery where we need that gun to be, where you can operate it and where it will fire. So let the spring do all the work. Now to unload this pistol, we're gonna activate, or we're gonna push the magazine release button. Most semi-automatic pistols, magazine release button is going to be somewhere around the rear of the trigger guard. This is the trigger guard. H&Ks and maybe some Walthers, they may have something on the bottom of the trigger guard that you pull with the thumb and the finger. But in this case, for this Glock pistol, it's this button right here. So with my right thumb, I'm going to press it in. You see how it ejected the magazine. Remove that magazine. At this point, we know that this gun could be loaded still, one in the chamber. So one way we're going to determine that is if we pull back that slide and lock it, or just eject that round out. But what we want to do is I want to identify this is called the slide lock lever. We want to push that up into this indented area here on the slide. So basically we want to make those match. So I'm going to reach over the top, put my finger off the trigger, like I did before, palm against the left side, 4 fingers pressing the right side, pull it back all the way. And then I want to push that slide lock lever up with my right thumb, keep it engaged, and then I released the slide, and that slide catch will stop the slide from going forward. Now I can open the slide, look inside there and see there's no round in there. Obviously I took the magazine out. That is a unloaded weapon, as you see there. That's how you unload a semi-automatic handgun. So if I want to load it, insert that magazine again till it clicks, reach over the top, pull back, or you can hit that slide release button here on the side. But for me personally, I like to put that palm, make my hand do all the work, pull back, let it go. You know, when it goes forward, it takes that round off the top of the magazine, inserts it in the barrel at that point. Now you have a loaded weapon. So to unload it, magazine release, take the magazine out, lock that slide back to the rear, eject that round. Now you have an unloaded weapon. There you go. Try that. We'll see you later.